everybody. So glad you could join me today. Today I'm going to show you how to make my most favorite macaroni and cheese recipe. I have a brick of sharp cheddar cheese. I'm just going to put that in the food processor. Sometimes it does get a little stuck, so turn it off, get it out of there, reposition it. Come on, cheese. And yeah, it gets stuck. So you just take the top part off. And I'll just cut this up into some little wedges. Because you want to cut your cheese up because you want it to melt nice and evenly. Let's see how it works. How to work on the Swiss cheese. Yeah, get stuck. I gotta buy a better food processor, that's for sure. And just put that lid back on. Right into my knife. Oh well, we'll just try to shred a little bit more. You kind of don't want to let the cheese get stuck in there. Oh, and it fell on the counter. It's okay, it's going to get cooked anyway. But I need to cut that up a wee bit smaller. And of course, I don't know what I did with my knife. Oh, here it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish cutting this in slices. So you have your Swiss cheese. Take the top off of here so I can show you. You got your Swiss cheese, you got your cheddar cheese, and I also have the Parmesan cheese, but I got the Parmesan cheese that was already shredded. So these big chunks, instead of killing myself in my food processor, I'm just going to cut them up by hand and add them to the food processor. Okay, some of the other, to the cheese mixture, and I'll show you that in a minute. The other ingredients you're going to need, you can use a box, one of these 1 pound boxes of macaroni. I'm going to use the bow ties, even though I usually use the elbow macaroni. And you need 1 stick of butter and one 12-ounce can of condensed milk. So 1 can of milk, 1 stick of butter, 1 box of pasta, and 2 the regular size bricks of Swiss cheese, cheddar cheese, and Parmesan cheese. The Swiss cheese helps with the creaminess. The cheddar cheese gives it the flavor and color. And the Parmesan cheese just gives it a little zip. And then you're also going to need some bakeable containers. I love my little ramekins. I love the little small ones. Because you can make individual size macaroni and cheese. And I'm going to finish getting the cheese together. And then we're going to start boiling the pasta. And then I'll show you how to mix it all together. Okay, as you know, a watched pot never boils. So, we're not going to watch it. But, I'm going to take the lid off. And we know the water's boiling. You can see in there it's boiling. You can see all the other stuff in my kitchen. And I'm just going to take this box of pasta, open it up, and I'm just going to dump it in. I'm going to let this cook until it's fairly tender. I'm also going to put just a wee bit of vegetable oil, or you could use olive oil, to keep the pasta from sticking together. And I'm sure everybody does pasta their own way as far as boiling it. But I'm going to give it a stir, put the lid back on, let it boil. And hopefully we'll be ready to mix all the ingredients together in a quick minute. So as you can see, I've got my pasta in there. It hasn't come to a boil yet. So I'm going to stir it a little bit so it doesn't stick. I love mac and cheese. Oh, and I gotta remember to turn the oven on. Bake it at about 350 degrees. That's a good temperature, especially if you're using the glass or ceramic cookware. And I'll show you in a minute how to mix it all together. And of course, I left the lid on a little too long, and it's bubbling over. But that's okay. We'll just take the lid off now and let it boil until it's tender. Okay, so we've finished cooking the pasta and we have a large saucepan, and I have the fire down low, but I'm going to crank it up just a little bit because you want to melt and put all of your cheesy ingredients. You're going to put in your whole can of milk. Now you can use low fat or you can use just a regular one. And your entire stick of butter. I'm going to put that in there. Let it all melt. You don't want to bring this to a boil because you might risk scorching your cheese. So I'm going to put in all that cheese that I chopped up before. Get all of it out of there. And then you're just going to, once you get all this in, you're just going to stir it a little bit. Oh, and you need to put a wee little bit of salt and pepper as well. And so here's the rest of that cheese. I'll let you see what that looks like down in there. And just gonna stir a little bit. Sorry, my tripod leg is off a little bit today. So just gonna stir all that up, and we wanna keep stirring it until we get it all melted. Okay, as you can see, I've added a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm gonna bring the fire up a little bit, and I'm just going to just keep stirring this. I don't want it to boil, I don't want it to bubble, I don't want it to scorch, but I want all of these delicious cheese and butter flavors and milk to get all nice and creamy so we can pour it over the pasta. And let's go get those pasta pans ready. Okay, so I have my oven-safe casserole dishes ready to start. So I'm just going to put my pasta in each of the containers. And you don't want to overfill it with pasta because remember, you've still got to put the sauce in there. And if you have too much pasta, it'll just overflow and you'll just have a big mess. So get these 3 filled up. I actually have a fourth one of these little these little casserole dishes. I just don't know what I did with it. So now I have my pasta ready for me to put the cream sauce on it. The mac and cheese sauce. So we're just going to pour that on there in a minute here.